Dan Skipper hangs it up. He's looking into coaching. Ben Johnson? Eric's got a story for us. We're going to finish up the top 50 free agents available right now for the Detroit Lions. We're going to start at number 27, I believe. Make that 29. And winners and losers so far in the hiring process. Who's winning, who's losing? Where's Mike McDaniel going? All right, sorry about that. Hey, good morning. It's the Rise and Grind Morning Show, and it's Friday, but it's also National Pie Day, January 23, 2026. It's 1, 2, 3. I don't know the significance of it other than it's Pie Day, but it's kind of interesting, Eric. I was just, I don't know why, man. I saw this. I read about it. It's National Pie Day today, but why are they not doing National Pie Day on March 14th? 3.14. Why not on Pie Day?
That's usually what it is in March.
But it's not. That's Pie Day. Today is National Pie Day. Apple. Oh, okay, Boston cream.
Yeah.
Something.
That's my kind of day.
Pumpkin pie, whatever your favorite pie is. Banana pie. I don't know. You tell me what your favorite pie is today in the chat. Let's kick it off with a food day, I guess, which reminds me I got to get my muscle milk.
Pecan better win the day.
Pecan pie is great, man. I used to watch my dad eat that all the time, and I was like, that looks nasty.
But it's the best tasting thing in the world.
And then I watched my younger sister make it. She was making like pecan tarts, little tarts.
Yep.
And I tried it. I snaked one. I tried it. This was 10, 15 years ago. And I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good. It's even better when you candy the nuts before you candy the nuts. I mean, I don't know. I like to make candied nuts myself, but I can't really eat nuts anymore, man. They don't agree with me. But enough about pie. Let's talk about who maybe has pie on their face. We're going to talk about the winners and losers to get today rolling. And then, of course, the picture on today's thumb, that is your boy Dan Skipper from way back. That was an article back in 2013 about Dan Skipper. And I was searching. I mean, of course, there's some good pictures of his family and whatnot. But, I mean, going all the way back to those days, I mean, he was on a farm. He's working a ranch. He's pushing these giant tires around. And he was big back then. Just a giant, massive human at that young age. But Dan Skipper hung it up last night. Decided to share that with the world. And I can't blame him, man. He's got a lower back injury. He said when he was exiting, doing his interviews with the media, that he was going to get some MRIs and that his decision was going to come in the next couple weeks, which is what happened. He must have, significant lower back injuries. And when you're that tall, it's not easy. Gravity works against you. So I just want to say again, last night I did a live event that went nowhere. I did live as soon as the news broke. Trace sent me a message. I probably was live within 10 minutes. And
I didn't even see it.
Yeah, no, it didn't go anywhere. For some reason it was unlisted. I don't know why it was unlisted, but I'm talking to myself apparently. And so then I just cut it and turned it into a video, which then it went nowhere because it was completely out of the algorithm at that point. But anyway, Dan Skipper retires, and this is where the Lions' offensive line evolution begins. Now, we had All 22 on the other day, and he said, he was hopeful. He wanted to see Dan Skipper come back because of the Petzing offense and how it may fit, with Dan Skipper, especially in these jumbo 12, jumbo 13 formations, or just flat out 13 being that extra tight end. Dan did catch one pass for us, I believe, last year, or maybe it was the year before. However, I've been in the boat that he wasn't coming back this whole time, and he's not. Obviously, he's retired, and I think it's for the betterment of this offensive line. I think Dan Skipper has been a bit rigid, and he made it make sense finally when he told us he was dealing with a lower lumbar issue. That was the aha moment for me. That okay, I get it. I see why he's rigid now. Like he's battling, a lower lumbar issue that will make you stiff. When those muscles stiffen up, it's pretty hard to move. I can't imagine how much pain he's been dealing with, fighting this. I don't know if it's a disc issue or what he has going on, but he's retired probably because of it. But 9-year career, and I couldn't thank him enough, man, for all of the amazing memories that we're walking away with. But Dan Skipper reported as retired this time. Eligible one last time, but this time it's retired. So thoughts, comments about Dan Skipper?
Well, last year I went to the Bills game, and that was before I had my season tickets, and I bought tickets on the opposite end, basically right down by the goal line. And I watched Dan Skipper take that pass and roll right into the end zone right in front of me. And that was the most amazing thing ever. Now, we ended up losing the game to the Bills, but that was such a cool play to finally see one of our offensive linemen score a touchdown, because Taylor Decker had gotten one and it got called back.
It was a 2-point, right? It was a 2-point conversion.
Reported, and it wasn't Decker that reported. So to see Skipper get one, that was an amazing thing to be there for. Got to be there for a lot of Skipper reported, the crowd going nuts, and they went nuts every single time this year. So maybe
I don't know. I got a little dismal this year though. There was a lot of fans.
Maybe the crowd knew. Maybe the crowd knew this was it for Skip, because I knew all year that this was Skip's last hurrah. I knew it in my gut. I felt it. He barely even made the team this year.
Yeah.
Actually, he didn't make the team. He made the practice squad and then had to be brought back up.
Well, he did make the roster one time, though. One time. He made the roster. I think that was 24.
24, yes.
I think it was 24. Yeah, man. Beautiful family there. Looks like he's got two little boys and a girl. There was another image that I had found online where there was Skipper. It must have been at training camp, but he's walking next to a guy wearing a black Hutchinson jersey, and he's literally twice his size. And it looked like a guy, like an adult male. But a guy, that big, 6'9", 6'8", somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Just massive, man. Big Skibby man. Here's what he said. He said 24 years of putting on pads and a helmet every fall. This year, I'll trade that out to pursue a career on the other side in coaching. Now, the memories and experiences that the NFL has brought me and my family are hard to put into words. Thankful for every person that has been a part of my journey. It's time for me to report as retired. Sorry, I had to do it one last time. Skipper, 31 years old, spent his last 3 seasons with the Lions and had 4 different stints with the team. He also spent time with the Broncos, the Patriots, the Texans, the Raiders, and the Colts. Despite his movement as a player, Skipper spent 66 of his 69 active games with the Detroit Lions. He'll always be remembered, be a Detroit Lion for life, and couldn't appreciate him, any more than than I could have the last couple of seasons, man. Really gutting it out and being that swing tackle, being that guy that you can trust to go in and give you something. Now, wasn't the best offensive tackles, but I think that he was not only the journeyman, but he was like that utility player for us. He fit a lot of different molds for us, which I thought was great.
They carved out quite the role for him, even though he wasn't a starting caliber tackle.
No, I saw a couple of comments online. Of course, I wasn't real happy with it, but there was comments saying, "Oh, at least Skipper's doing it right," unlike Frank Ragnow, who decided to retire in June. And I'm like, come on, man! Like, each one of these guys that are under contract or not under contract, it's their life to figure out what they're going to do. Yeah, Frank Ragnow could have given the Lions a little bit more notice. And if you heard Brad Holmes and what he said this year, because he was asked multiple times during his exit interview for the season about learning something from Frank Ragnow when it comes to Taylor Decker and his possible retirement. And he said he learned pretty much right at the same time everybody else did that he was going to retire, which was June. So you have to give these guys, at least a little bit of a grace period. Yeah, Brad could have done something to prepare, but then at the same time, would that may have been a slap in the face to Frank Ragnow if he would have brought in another center? Maybe. But this is where, again, I would not be a fun GM. I don't think all the time if I ever were to have an opportunity, which I won't. I would. In spite of the other player, I would bring another player in. And it's not so much to cause drama. It would be because you have to do what's right for the team. And as a general manager, you have to be able to separate your relationships. As a fan, we have to, we don't have to do that. Right? As a fan, we can feel any which way we want. We can, have our own opinions. As an analyst, as a journalist, I think you need to separate like a GM should. You need to separate your fandom from, giving takes or opinions or writing, factual based media for the fans to consume. And that's not what's happening in Detroit. There's too much fandom being intertwined. And that's where I'll segue to the next thing. But in this, you had something about Ben Johnson that
I got one
apparently surfaced.
Yeah, I got one little thing before that. So last night when this broke, the first thing I read was from Justin Rogers, and he said that Dan Skipper is going to be coaching, being an assistant coach at the East-West Shrine game.
Yeah.
So who is he going to be working for? The East-West Shrine game, or is he working for the Lions? Is he working for another team? That was what I wanted to know right away. Who is he going to be coaching for?
I think it's pretty obvious it's not for the Lions. I mean, he's retired, so he's no longer bound to any team. He would be working as an assistant as part of the East-West Shrine game.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the only way it should be, right? I mean, if you're retired, you're retired.
Okay, I didn't know if he had accepted some kind of a position with the Lions to be an assistant or something.
I don't know if we know that yet.
Yeah, there's no information on it. But one Bears writer, he thinks that Ben Johnson may want to bring Dan Skipper on as an assistant coach.
Man, that's some great click-worthy content right there by the Bears, huh?
Yeah, so I mean, within an hour of Dan Skipper retiring, this comes out. And I was like, what? So Ben Johnson is hoping to bring his old friend, Dan Skipper, to the Bears staff. Johnson and Skipper spent 6 seasons together with the Detroit Lions. Johnson values Skipper's reputation for toughness, resilience, and selflessness, crediting him with helping install the complex offense system in Detroit. And the Bears currently do not have an assistant offensive line coach, making it an easy spot for Johnson to create for Skipper. The role would allow Skipper to learn under current offensive line coach Dan Rochar and potentially groom him as a future successor or insurance policy if Rochar retires. And now they do say this, The Detroit Lions may also be interested in bringing Dan Skipper back onto their coaching staff, given his popularity and history there. However, with new Lions offensive coordinator Drew Petzing arriving, he may prefer his own candidates, leaving the door open for a reunion with Johnson in Chicago. So I just found that rather interesting that within an hour of Dan Skipper retiring and announcing he's going to start coaching, the Bears want to poach him.
Yeah, can we be honest for a moment though? Like, unlike whoever wrote this, I don't know who wrote it, where it came from. Within an hour, I highly doubt Ben Johnson even knows the guy retired.
Yeah, probably not.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, it's just clicks, man.
Well, this is what I thought. The Bears want to be the Lions so damn bad that they're watching anything the Lions do that closely.
Possibly. Intel.
Yeah.
So I just searched it. I see. Yeah. Okay. I know who this guy is. The guy's a joke. He's a joke. He's an abs. I've gone at him hard a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to share his name. All right, so let's get into the next part of this, man. The coaching carousel. It's gotten off to a weird, wonky, and wild start, all in the same sentence.
Yeah.
But the NFL winners and losers right now, who are they? And what's happening with Mike McDaniel? He may not be settled with the Chargers. So let's walk through winners number 1. New York Giants. They acted quickly, obviously, and aggressively to land what many are considering the top available coach this season, which is the Baltimore Ravens' former head coach in John Harbaugh. He could take planned meetings with other teams, but there was no reason for him to do anything but go to New York. So Harbaugh is going to bring immediate stability and competence to a Giants organization that has just been kind of fumbling through everything since, well, forever. For at least the past decade, they've just been kind of cycling through head coach after head coach and disappointment after disappointment. Great players they bring in. They don't do anything with these players. But Harbaugh should be able to develop a pretty strong staff of assistant coaches, and the Giants will obviously be a lot better for having him. We'll see where that goes with the type and style of players that they have right now. But the New York Giants clearly are the biggest winner so far of this hiring cycle. The loser, Buffalo Bills. The Bills' decision to fire Sean McDermott, and I read a snippet about the GM. I forget where it came from, but he said he decided to fire Sean McDermott in the locker room right after the game. And I'm like, what? Like, how? Like, why would you either do it there or even think of doing it there? But
he said because Josh Allen was so distraught and crying in the locker room afterward, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
I mean, all players are going to be emotional after losing a big football game like that. So let me ask you a question. And let me ask everybody in the chat a question. Now, a billionaire that's, owns a team has the right to do whatever they want, right? Within the construct and confines of the NFLPA and the guidelines and the rules that are set forth in their what's it called?
Unless you're Jerry Jones.
Yeah, unless it's Jerry Jones. So by the rules that are developed for these guys, should there be a cooling off period? Do you think that there should be at least a 72-hour just cool off period? Because you know as well as I do that after a game, win or lose, emotions are high, ether's high, and it's either way the other way or way the other way, right? So it's hard to just be neutral, no emotion, cool, calm, collected after you lose a big game like that in a divisional round, or you win a big game like that and maybe you make even a worse decision. I don't know. But should there be a cooling off period when a team season ends before making any decisions on firing your head coach?
Well, how about this? I think the opposite way. there should be a limit on when you can hire a coach. I don't think there should be a single interview, anything, until the day after the Super Bowl.
No, that's different. Yeah, no, that's totally different. That we've discussed. I get that. I agree,
Yep.
and I've.
But if
I kind of brought that idea up a couple years ago. Like, this has got to stop.
If you did that and no one could, okay, so the Wednesday after the Super Bowl is the first day that you can hire or do interviews with anyone. That would make these guys hit the brakes a little bit, because right now they're so eager to fire people because they don't want to be late to the show. Because what are the Bills right now? The Bills are the last ones to fire their head coach. So they're the last ones to get a chance at a head coach. All these other guys are getting hired by other teams as coordinators, as head coaches, and 5 of the 10 head coaching jobs are filled now already, and the Bills are just now firing their coach. So they drew the short straw this year by firing their coach so late in the season into the playoffs.
So I guess the question is, regardless of that, of not being able to hire, you still got to fire somebody. So should there be a cooling off period of when you should be allowed to fire somebody?
Well, you can't say that, because, like, look at the Lions firing their coaches at Thanksgiving every year. You know, they were giving them all this grace period to get to the Thanksgiving weekend, and they wanted to be playing meaningful football in December. And if you couldn't get to December playing football,
I think you're confusing the question with firing a coach because of lack of performance versus firing a coach at the end of a playoff run. That's what I'm saying. So you're in the playoffs. You're at the end. You're at the end of the season. Should you have to wait a couple of days before you fire a coach? So, I'm not saying in-season moves. Like, in-season moves, that's totally separate from the end of the season moves. At the end of the season, whether you make the playoffs or you're in the playoffs, if you end your season today, that you shouldn't be able to make a decision until Monday on whether you're going to fire that coach. And then if you end in the playoffs today, then you'd have to wait till Monday to be able to make a decision on that coach. I'm not saying in season. I think in season is totally different, because if you're, 1-8, of course you should deserve to get fired. That's totally different. But if you just went, 9-8, had a great season, but yet, history tells you this is probably not the right coach, you get that. But in the waning moments of a major loss or a major win, that emotional intelligence may not be there. And you might make a rash decision. Doesn't mean that you can't go rehire the guy, but now you've damaged the relationship. And you can't interview guys anyway until after the divisional round in person anyway. So why make the rash decision right now as opposed to just waiting a couple of days? It's not going to ruin your chances. Matter of fact, you could probably interview some guys over the phone or in a Zoom call before you make that decision. There's no reason why you can't interview people. You can interview anyone you want. And just like the state of Michigan, it's a right to hire, right to fire state. I'm not trying to push back against that. What I'm saying is, should there be a cooling off period at the end of the season, whenever that is?
Yeah, I would tell the owners this is the same thing I tell my kids. Don't quit your job until you have another one lined up.
There you go.
It doesn't make any sense to just go in and quit your job if you don't have something else lined up. Do you want to live in your car for 4 months?
Yeah, no. We're back at home.
Yeah.
Right.
So then make sure you have something lined up before you quit this job. Well, I don't like this job. Too bad. So that's the way I look at it. If I was an owner, okay, let's say I own the Jets and I have to make a decision on Aaron Glenn before I fire Aaron Glenn. I'm going to look around the landscape and I'm going to see who's available and see what's out there first and who might be possible, and maybe talk to their agent and see if they would be even willing to come to my Jets before I make any rash decisions. Because then you get into like what's happening with the Jets now. They're trying to hire a defensive coordinator and they can't. No one wants the job. No one wants to go there. So why did they fire their defensive coordinator if nobody wants to go there?
Where's that at? The Jets?
At the Jets.
I don't know if nobody wants to go there.
They're having a very hard time getting any of the top candidates to even show up for an interview.
Yeah, let's get through the rest of this list. So the Buffalo Bills, right now they obviously fired McDermott right away, right after the game, and he may not have been the issue, honestly, standing in Buffalo's way. I mean, teams can only make changes in so many ways, and swapping out the coach is one of them, but sometimes that is not the best answer. I mean, we saw that with Caldwell. I mean, he was having what I think that Caldwell was building and was not given all of the right opportunities to continue building the roster in Detroit. And then you bring him in for the next, Belichick, tree, and it just, that tree didn't grow any roots, and if anything, it infected the team. But the Bills here, I think that they're losers right now because it has not been an ideal hiring cycle for them. However, what was the news that just came out yesterday about McDaniel maybe not planting his own roots in LA just yet?
All right. So Albert Breer reported that the Bills are looking at recently fired rival Mike McDaniels.
Mike McDaniel, right? There's no S on it.
Mike McDaniel. He just landed another job with the Chargers as their offensive coordinator. And he now states the Bills are interviewing new Chargers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel for their head coaching job today, per source. Breer reported. McDaniel, of course, spent the last 4 years in the AFC East as the Dolphins head coach. McDaniel will be Jim Harbaugh's OC if he does not land the job as head coach of the Bills. So that's very surprising that one day after he gets the OC job for the Chargers, that he is interviewing already for a head coaching job with the Bills. That's how cutthroat the NFL is right now. And
give me 1 sec.
Yep. And just like Brian Flores, he re-signed with the Vikings to be their DC on the contingent that if he gets a head coaching job, he gets to go to that head coaching job because he's still in the running for the Steelers job. And you never know, he might be in running for the Bills job as well.
So, I mean, that's interesting. What about Joe Brady going to Buffalo? Was there anything that was said about that?
Yeah, he's interviewing. He was the first interview, I think, was Joe Brady. And then I think I saw something that he had a couple of other interviews lined up as well. Let's see. The Bills have conducted several interviews, including 2 that have forged close ties with Allen. One was offensive coordinator Joe Brady, who has led the team's offenses, taking over for fired Ken Dorsey during the 2023 season. Brady crafted a strong passing attack based around his everybody eats philosophy, spreading targets out to a wider group after the team traded Stephon Diggs in 2024. That approach faltered this season, however, as many of the team's receivers struggled to gain separation, and opposing defenses put increasing pressure on Allen. The Bills also brought back former offensive coordinator Brian Daboll for an interview, who was fired as the head coach of the New York Giants during the season. Daboll also has close ties to Allen and the city, having grown up in Buffalo. Allen is expected to play a major role in the hiring decision, with the team including him in interviews. He has not yet spoken to the media since the team's firing of McDermott on Monday, but is expected to hold a press conference after a new head coach is hired. So it sounds like the Bills are not going to mess around and make it take a long time. Sounds like they have 3 candidates: Brady, McDaniel, and Daboll. So they've already done 3 head coaching interviews. And I wonder how fast it'll be before they do second interviews or if they just hire someone. But the Bills job, you have to admit, would be one of the better jobs to take. You know, I haven't heard too much on the Arizona Cardinals search for a head coach. The Browns are still looking for a head coach.
All right, I got to deal with something here for just a second.
Okay.
So winners and losers in LA. Obviously, whatever anyone thinks right now with Mike McDaniel in his head coaching opportunities, I think that there is no one arguing that he can dial up an offense. And whether he goes to LA or whether he takes an opportunity in Buffalo, is he still one of the best opportunities for a head coaching gig? And I think that there's a lot to, I guess, kind of peel back with Mike McDaniel because he didn't have a great offense and he had better weapons than what Petzing had. And I guess where I'm going to with this argument is what we kept hearing from Lions fans for the last 72 hours, if you will, is Arizona had, a bottom 10 offense.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, wasn't great in passing, I guess. But they had one of the best run games. And so when this first came out, I was one of the first ones to go out and back this dude and say, look, if you want McDaniel, you're asking for a guy that had better opportunity, better players, and was a bottom feeder. And he didn't get better, he got worse. And yet this whole fan base, as toxic as it seems to be, is now trying to railroad Petzing, so much so that Amon-Ra St. Brown has to come to the rescue here and say, look, Lions fans, you don't have a clue. A lot of you don't. 99% of you don't. 99% of us, I should say, don't. The top 1% of fans are probably reviewing film, know anything about scheme, watch every minute of the game, or even maybe watch more than just their own team's game and have a real understanding of what's going on around the league. I would say maybe 10 or 15% put in the extra work that is required to be knowledgeable about football. But there is very few and far between that actually understand what is going on and how these schemes work and what these coaches are able to do. And the fact that he's coming to a team that has good core, good nucleus, good coaches, great ownership, wonderful culture, solid identity. It is a much different story than I think what these Lions fans that have been trashing Petzing really understand, that he's getting an opportunity to come in and produce at a much higher level. So Mike McDaniel, look, I don't see him as a head coach. I mean, I guess I figured him to get an opportunity, but I don't know why a team would want to take a chance on that. Like, what do you say in an interview when they ask you, well, you had Tyreek Hill and all these other players. Why were you not a better team? And why didn't you make a decision on Tua way earlier than, you let that guy run around with 19 concussions, that's not factual, but you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You let this guy run around with all these concussions. At what point were you going to do right by him and the team? I don't think that Mike McDaniel would have ever been the right choice. And I don't think that he would have ever had a better resume than what Petzing, has, even though he's been a head coach. I don't see it. And I don't see it in Buffalo. I see the Chargers probably sticking with him, simply he's already signed, but I just don't see it, man. I really don't. I don't see what everyone is so up in arms about. I don't see what everyone is would have been so excited about. So right now the Chargers are a winner because they got McDaniel. And in his ability to dial up an offense, hopefully not being a head coach, he'll be able to get back to his ways of being, somewhat of a guru, if you will, with offensive schemes. We'll see where that goes. The next loser, the Cleveland Browns, so far, they're in the second round interviews, I think, with Todd Monken, Jim Schwartz already getting their turns, Jesse Minter, and Grant Udinski and Nate Scheelhaas reportedly in the mix. Anything you heard here about Cleveland? And for now, I think that, they fired Kevin Stefanski, and immediately he landed another job. So was he really the problem, or was he more desirable in other locations? Did Cleveland finally have enough of the quarterback issue that they had in Cleveland, which I think all of us did. Who do you think is the job here, or what is it that you're hearing?
If I had to go with my gut, who I think is going to get it, I think it's going to be Jim Schwartz. I really think that Jim Schwartz is going to be the first former Detroit Lions head coach to ever get a head coaching job again, at least in my lifetime. It may have happened before I was born, but I really think that Jim Schwartz has endeared himself to the city of Cleveland, to the players, and he's very well respected there. And I think it's about time he finally gets his second chance. I think that, I don't know, I really think that Jim Schwartz is going to be the winner in all of this, and I don't know why it's taking as long as it is, but maybe the Browns this time are, dotting their I's and crossing their T's on this one. Trying to get it right, taking their time, not, but the Browns, did they really get it wrong on the last one? They had a 2-time coach of the year and Kevin Stefanski with the Browns. So if you had the coach of the year twice and he still didn't get it done, is someone else going to come in and get it done? But it was weird that Stefanski had such a weird way of using quarterbacks, on which quarterbacks he was using. And I think that's what ultimately undid him, is he wanted a certain type of quarterback and they just didn't have it there in Cleveland. So if I had to guess, I would say Jim Schwartz is going to end up with the Browns job.
I'm sorry, who did you think is going to get the job?
Schwartz.
I think he would have already been hired, man. I really do. I think that he would have already been hired had they really wanted. Let me look at something real quick. Had they really wanted him, I think he would have locked him up right away, because he's been there since 2023 in their defensive coordinator position.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having issues with Kevin Stefanski, why wouldn't they have just fired Kevin Stefanski during the season and just promoted Jim Schwartz to see what that could have done? Could he have made any changes? Could he have, gotten you a couple more wins? Would there have been, a big difference with how the players reacted? I think then you would have known right away if he was going to be the right guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think you still have to go through the hiring process, obviously. How about Jesse Minter?
Chargers defensive coordinator. He was hired by the Ravens as their head coach.
Minter was already hired?
Yeah, he was hired yesterday. He got a 5-year deal. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I got a little thing on that as well.
On what?
On Minter being hired.
Oh, yeah. I see this is just updated. So this article in the Winners and Losers is, wow, that hiring must have just came out after this.
Yeah, it was yesterday evening, afternoon, late.
Yeah, this is from late last night.
Yeah, he got a 5-year deal to be the Ravens head coach. So I think Minter's out and Mike McDaniels is out. You have Aiden Durd from the Seahawks defensive coordinator who's still in. You got Todd Monken, who went to the Giants as their offensive coordinator. So I think he's probably out.
Well, that's the interesting thing. So a lot of these coaches are signing deals.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of weird this year when you think about it, because there's so many coordinator opportunities.
Yeah.
But if you listen to this simple thing that, oh my God, who was it? McDaniel, that signed a deal, unless he gets a head coaching gig, that's where he'll be. I think a lot of these other guys are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're saying, there's so many opportunities out there, snag one, because there's so many available that someone's going to get a job. But there's so many available that maybe something else comes along that's better. But at least I'm locked up with somebody. I don't know, man. If I was an NFL owner, I wouldn't feel too great about that. Other than the fact that, okay, if you go sign with someone else, I'm not paying you a damn dime. You can sign here, but if you leave, you're not taking this contract with you. If you leave, you're done. Which tends to happen in this league, where when you fire somebody, they still get paid. They get paid their entire contract. So I know it's kind of weird, but anyway, let's move on. Tennessee Titans, they hired former San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator and New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh. Are they a winner or a loser right now?
For them, I think it's a win. Now, they are doing what? Oh, my God. Wow. Do you see how many people they interviewed? Wow.
In Tennessee?
In Tennessee, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18 people they interviewed for their head coaching job. And they picked Robert Saleh. Wow. So I don't know if some people turned them down, or that job just wasn't that compelling for people, or what. But 18 different head coaches they interviewed. That's crazy.
So winners or losers right now for Tennessee?
I'll say winner, because they didn't get one of the more lesser coaches. I think Robert Saleh is going to be fine. I think it was just he went to the Jets, so that was the reason that failed. And if the Jets fail with Aaron Glenn, I don't think it's going to be Aaron Glenn's fault. I think it's going to be the Jets' fault.
Okay.
So I'll call him a winner for now.
Yeah, I think it's a winner right now. I think that, what he's been able to realize over the last couple of seasons, not being in a head coaching role, I think that you've seen a little bit of a resurgence of Saleh. I think he's gained some perspective, from bouncing around a little bit. And I expect better things to happen in Tennessee. I mean, he's starting with a quarterback, had a really rough rookie year, but the tools are there. We'll see where that goes. I'll say they're a winner.
Play them this year too.
Miami Dolphins, ranked as a loser, according to many, but when they fired McDaniel, they say he was immediately the top candidate for nearly every offensive coordinator opening. But what about head coaching opportunities? And I think it's been kind of understated as to how many opportunities McDaniel may have, or maybe it's overstated, I should say, of how many opportunities he actually may have. I think that he signed pretty quickly after going through just a handful of interviews with so many opportunities out there. Or maybe he's just got a narrow scope of where he wants to be. But they then hire Jeff Hafley and the Green Bay tandem of John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. You see this going well or not so well? Are they winners or losers right now?
Hafley's a hell of a coach. Now, they brought in this other guy, the Eric John Sullivan from, they call him Sully, from the Green Bay Packers. So you know how this goes when they bring in a GM and a coach that were not a GM or not a head coach from another team, and they bring them in to be that for their team. We've seen that a few times, like with the Detroit Lions bringing in Quinn and Patricia, the whole Quinn Trista thing, trying to make it Patriots East. Are they trying to make the Dolphins Packers South? So it just depends if they're going to do their own thing or if they're going to try to bring a Packers style offense and defense to Miami. Hopefully they go with a different style of offense. That defense was just fine. So I think Hafley's a hell of a defensive coordinator. I'm going to say that he's been the best defensive coordinator for the Packers in a very, very long time. And they were lucky to have him. And he was previously a head coach at Boston College. So I think this one's going to work. I think they're winners on this whole deal. I think it's going to work just depending on who they bring in for an offensive coordinator and what offense they decide to run. And are they going to stick with Tua? Are they going to draft a quarterback? So there's a few questions there. But for right now, I'll say they're winners because I think their head coach is going to do a good job. The GM part of it, I'm not so sure of. I don't know this Sully guy all that well.
Baltimore Ravens winners. Obviously, I won't even go over that one again. Let's see here. Dallas Cowboys. They moved on from former defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus, whose unit was arguably the worst in the league this season. Eberflus was kind of pushed into or thrust upon really Brian Schottenheimer by the Jones family while he was dealt a bad hand with the trade of Micah Parsons. I don't see one player being the major issue here. I would never settle on one player making or breaking my defensive or offensive coordinator's ability to work with a unit. I mean, I think if you look at what's happened in Detroit, take that as a sample of 15 guys down, 16 guys down, 21 guys to IR, you can still make things happen. Even this year, I don't even know the number of guys that we had on IR this year. I really didn't follow it as well as I should have, but it was a lot. And we lost a lot of guys throughout the season, and you can still play at a high rate. Things kind of fell off towards the end, but if you were to combine 24 and 25 and what the Lions did and were able to pull off, and then you tell me that just because Micah Parsons left, you had a bad defense, and that's the reason why? No. Eberflus just sucks. I'm sorry. He's not producing, hasn't produced. He didn't produce in Chicago. He didn't produce in Dallas. But they did land the former Eagles defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator Christian Parker as his replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a move that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't, but he is that Vic Fangio disciple, which is a defense that seems to win. So overall, Dallas Cowboys, I think, are going to be winners there. Ravens winners. Dolphins losers so far. Tennessee Titans, I think they'll be a winner. Browns doing Brown things. Nothing's really moving. Chargers, we don't know if they're a winner or a loser because McDaniel's still hiring or still interviewing. Buffalo Bills, that could turn out to be a disaster. And man, wouldn't that be something if Josh Allen's career just totally tails off because of that one firing?
God.
That would suck for him, man. I like Josh Allen personally. I think he's a great individual. I think he's a great quarterback, and this firing could ruin everything for him. New York Giants, I think the winners right now. I really do. I think that John Harbaugh is going to turn that program around. He'll have a no-nonsense approach, but that's it. We'll take a brief break. I got to handle one thing real quick. We'll be right back here in about 2 minutes.
pressured by Hutchinson. He goes down again.
All right, let's get into the rest of the free agents, man. We got to get through this list.
All right.
I think we're on actually 29, not 27.
Yep.
All right. Let me get this music off here in just a second. All right. Kick this off. Let's get this open. There we go. All right, 29, Dallas Cowboys running back Javonte Williams. Before we get into this, let's get into some of the chat here. You notice anything in the chat? Anyone talking here about anything that we should address?
Oh, yeah. There was Detroit. Tony Detroit gave us a super chat there a while ago for $2.
All right. Tony Detroit, $2 super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, with the new coach, any new pieces or shuffle you see? Can you clarify? You talking about Petsing? Yeah. If you're speaking in terms of Petsing, there's absolutely going to be some shuffling going on with the offensive line, and we're already seeing that, right? We're already seeing that with Skip, who's retiring, and we're waiting for Taylor Decker to retire. And let it be known that, I was probably hot on the trail right away to think that Decker either has to retire or they're going to have to let him go after June 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's no two ways around it. I say that with such confidence because I am expecting Brad Holmes not to make a poor decision. And we can agree to disagree or whatever here. I'll come back to this in just a second. We can agree to disagree, but I'll just say this, Eric. If Brad Holmes does not address the Taylor Decker issue, which is a left shoulder that was actually injured in 2024. He had the whole offseason after surgery to get healthy. And you come back in 2025, which should have been plenty of time to get that shoulder healed and ready to rock and roll, right? And in game one, that shoulder takes a significant hit and derails your entire season for Taylor Decker. And he was playing at a great level for the first, few weeks of the season. He was actually playing pretty well. But as the season waned, you could tell that there was less and less strength in that shoulder. And he was not able to hold up to some of the bigger, stronger defensive ends. And he was not reacting fast enough to the games that they were happening, on that defensive line, the stunts, the twists, and everything else. So I would say that if I'm Brad Holmes, and the question that he was asked numerous times, did you learn anything from Frank Ragnow? I think we kind of gained a little insight that maybe he would have done something different. What do you think?
Yeah, if he would have known, I'm thinking his draft strategy, his offseason strategy, I think it all would have been different. Because you base it all off of who you think is going to be healthy for the season and who you think is going to be there. And when you get thrown a curveball like Frank Ragnow just decides, that's it, I'm hanging him up. That's huge when you're planning on him to be there. And I think it threw everything off because it didn't happen until after he had already drafted and after he'd already done free agency. So then you're stuck in your money situation and you're stuck in your drafting situation. It's already all done. There's not much you can do after that.
Taking a look at his contract one more time.
Taylor Decker had 14 starts and played 893 snaps last year. Or this year, excuse me.
Last year, honestly.
Yeah. In 2025.
I was in the store the other day and a fan came up and it's like, hey, man, listen to you. Go Lions. She's like, hopefully we have a better season. And I said, yeah, I can't wait till next year. And she looks at me and she goes, don't you mean this year? And I said, well, technically, yes. Next year after February when the new league year rolls around is next year. She's like, see, I don't understand that stuff. That's why I listen. And like, I know it's semantics. It's not that big a deal. But yes, 2026 this year. Next year, meaning league year. Taylor Decker, in his contract, when we managed his contract the other day, I got to sign in again.
In my heart of hearts, if you had to ask me if Taylor Decker is going to suit up for the Detroit Lions in 2026, I am going to say no.
Yeah, I don't think so either. The problem here is if you release him post-June, let me make sure I get this right today. Pre-June, you take a $9.4 million cap hit in 26 alone, but you save 11.9 after the pre-June release. If you do a post-June 1 release, then that 9.4 gets spread out to be 3.14 this year. That's kind of funny. Pi Day, 3.14. And 6.29 next year. So that's better for cap management for this year and next year. And the Lions get a savings of $18.2 million. So I would, that's why I kept saying post June 1. Like,
And
don't,
now,
if Decker, if we don't hear anything from Decker at all, then I would expect post June 1, that is when the Lions are going to make their move.
but then what happens if he retires?
Well, they don't give you that option. But
That's what I'd like to know is what happens with his contract if he retires? It's all off the books?
I'm pretty sure. So let me
That's something I do not know.
it's a good question. I know each contract probably has their own set of language and rules and everything else. You have guarantees, but what is guaranteed for injury? What is guaranteed for retirement? I'm sure they're all set up a little bit different. I'm sure there's a standard across the league, and the financial impact, according to this resource, that under retirement, if it's a voluntary breach of contract, which retirement would be, that the player is choosing not to fulfill the services that they promised, the money changes significantly. Base salary stops. The player forfeits all remaining future base. Even if the salary was guaranteed, that guarantee is almost always voided if the player voluntarily retires. When it says almost always, that tells me that the club has the option of doing what they want with the money. Signing bonus recoupment. Now, this is where we had the issue with Calvin Johnson. Remember this? Calvin Johnson was given a significant signing bonus. And when he retired, the Lions wanted it back. And it was like $500,000, I think. Maybe a little bit less.
They got it back, didn't they?
I think they did. But they were literally, they're talking about $500,000 or a little bit less than $500,000, whatever it was. And so you can then get that signing bonus back. So essentially, when Taylor Decker signed his contract extension, he was given a signing bonus. Now that signing bonus is spread out over the life of the deal. So if you retire this year and you still have 2 years on your deal, let's say, which he has,
Yeah, I think 2 years.
he has 2 years left. Well, then whatever you were paid at a prorated rate for 26 and 27 has to come back. Now, the Lions can say, Deck, we're good, dude. Just keep the money. They could say that. Or they could say, Deck, we want it back. How much was he given? Signing bonus, he was given, it looks like a small signing bonus, too. So he signed a 3-year, $60 million deal, which was $20 million AAV. And his signing bonus appears to be, 4, 3, 6, 9, 12, 16, about $17 million. So about a third of his deal. That's not terrible, but I would say that it's fairly low. So they probably had all this in mind, that if he retires this year, then the Lions would actually be owed over $9.5 million in recoupment.
Wow.
for signing bonus. Whether they make him pay it back or not, that's up to the Lions. So example A would be this. A 5-year deal with a $20 million signing bonus, $4 million per year is prorated, and he retires after year 2. Then the team can demand that he pay back the remaining $12 million for years 3, 4, and 5. Salary cap impact, dead money. Even though that the player is gone, the team still takes a financial hit on their salary cap. The dead money acceleration, though, is any money that the team has already paid the player, like signing bonus, that hasn't yet counted against the salary cap, accelerates to the current year. That is where pre-June 1 and post-June 1 are the big factor. Pre-June 1 means right now. Post-June 1 means you can spread it out over 2 years. So the team's rights, it now becomes a frozen contract, which means if Decker wants to unretire, he can only come back to the Detroit Lions. So with all that said, I'm expecting Taylor Decker to be released after June 1st. It would not make any sense before that. It's not going to hurt the Lions from a roster standpoint. It's not going to hurt him from a money standpoint. He can stay on the roster until June 2. The Lions can designate, he can, do a retirement ceremony or whatever he wants to do, which I hope the Lions do. We never had one for Frank. And do something to replace him, which if the Lions know that this is going to happen, I think that 2 things are very important. One, you shut up and don't tell anybody. Why is that? Because of 2. The second thing is, if you have every other team under the impression that Taylor Decker is going to play this year, then you're not giving up your card that you're looking at left tackles in the first round. Make sense?
Yep.
So after the draft is when you would announce something. And I think that when you look at what happened with Frank Ragnow, yeah, there may have been an idea that he was going to retire, and maybe Brad already knew. But doing it after the draft, it makes more sense because you need to hold your cards to, close to the vest. Skip doesn't really matter a whole lot. I don't mean it negatively, but he's not a starting left tackle for us. He's not a starting right tackle. So that position doesn't matter as much in the context of trying to keep your cards close to the vest on what you're going to do in the drafted free agency. Now, if the Lions get out hot and heavy and they go after a left tackle in free agency, well, then I think you already know the answer that Taylor Decker's probably done. Mm-hmm. But they would probably still want to keep that close to the vest. Am I making any sense?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I wonder which is more financial relief for the Lions, if he retires or if we do a post June 1st and we cut him.
I think it's
because
I think it's a mutual parting of ways, whether he retires or you release him.
Yeah.
If you release him, okay, there's 2 things here. If you release him, 1, he gets money. He gets the rest of his contract. If he retires, well, then you get all of his money back, whatever you don't want back from him, if that makes sense. So there's cap considerations either way. Let's get through this list because we're already at 9:18.
Crap. This is the longest segment in Rise and Grind history.
Could be. I don't know, man. I've done some pretty long segments before. I was on till afternoon yesterday.
Oh, God.
Carolina Panthers center Cade Mays. So this has been a name that has been popping up among some of the Lions circles.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Cade Mays? If you want to kind of go through this one, I'm going to pull up some information.
Cade Mays was a 2022 6th-round pick out of Tennessee, and he was only a spot starter for his first 3 seasons. And then he ended up becoming a fill-in starter at center after Austin Corbett went down this year with a knee injury in week 2. Mays played in 14 of 17 games, starting 12 of them. And after working through his own ankle injury, he played so well at center this season that when Corbett moved to guard when he returned to the lineup from his injury, And they're thinking that a payday is coming May's way this offseason. And this one's intriguing. It's a center. It's someone with some he's got a little bit of game. He's got some time at task at center. And I don't think this guy is going to be super expensive. He's not going to be a $22 million center. This guy might be one of those $10-12 million centers and might fit in with the Detroit Lions. I would just have to see what his grades are for run blocking and pass blocking and what he actually did with the Panthers this year.
Okay, go back and say, what were you talking about with the money aspect there?
The money aspect of it, if I had to guess, is he like in the $10 to $15 million range? I don't think he's going to be one of those $20 to $25 million guys, is he?
Oh no, hell no.
Yeah,
if you want to pull up Spotrac or over the cap, you pull up one, I'll pull up the other. That way,
I'll do Spotrac.
All right, I'll do over the cap, and then we can get the market values, at least of what they're thinking. I come up with my own market values after some research, but I'm not going to be able to do that obviously today. On the spot takes time, and I usually only do it for the guys that I'm expecting to come into Detroit.
All right. Let's see here. Internet's going slow today.
Wow. I don't know what's going on here with mine either. Like, it's not remembered my password.
So his contract, he's making $3 million.
What's the valuation? 7.6.
That's what I'm looking for here. It's all funky looking. But last year, for 2025, he signed a 1-year deal for $3.4 million. So even if it's double that, what you're saying, $7 million.
Yeah.
This is
it's 7.6. That's his value for this year, according to that site.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not telling me.
If you look under Cade Mays, you type them in, and then you look to the right, it says valuations. It's contract history, stats, and valuation.
Yeah, like the page is cut off today. I don't know what's going on.
It's probably just the way you have your screen set up.
Yeah.
But anyway, Cade Mays, I'm out. Look, this is not a guy that I would be bringing in. We want a bona fide starter, right? We don't want someone that filled in that ended up playing some games. I think that we need to get a guy that fits the core of what the Lions offense is trying to pull off this year. And I guess to be more specific, I would have to go in and look at what their offensive line was all about. And if I remember, with Bryce Young, they did do quite a bit of gap and power runs, which, I mean, idealistically it could fit.
Yeah.
But is Cade Mays really the answer? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. This says that his market valuation, average salary, $12.3 million.
So somewhere between 7.6 and 12.3. So call it 10.
Yeah, there you go. I nailed it. I said somewhere between 10 and 15.
There you go. I guess the question would be, can he play guard?
Well, I think that's what he was brought in to be and ended up playing center. This says games played. He played 11, 16, 11, and 14. And he's played quite a few snaps. He played 727 snaps this past season in 2025.
I have 793.
Okay.
For snaps this year. Last year, he had 495 at center. And then in 23, left guard. He played 362 at left guard and 71 at right guard. And then if you go back to 2022,
it says he only played 51 snaps.
I have 98. but he played right guard 33.
Ooh, so he's been all over.
Yeah, well, if even 23, I think is the year you want to pay attention to, because in 2023 he played primarily left guard and a little bit of right guard. So I would say he probably fits that left guard role. He's 6'6", 325, so he's a big dude. He's still young, but a former 6th round pick. The question is, how did he play? Right? What were his grades like? Let's go back to 23, which is the year that he played the most really at left guard, and he was terrible. He was a 71.2 in the run, 43 in pass block, overall 58.3. And in 24, he had a better season in 2024, but that was at center, where he had 495 snaps. He must have played at least half the season. And his pass block was a 74.9, which ranks 6th out of the league. And his run block was 20th, which was midline. Overall grade, he was midline at 16th out of 43 centers that played that year. And then if we back it back up to 2024 or 2025, he dropped off significantly. His run block grade dropped to, out of any starting caliber center. His pass block grade was midline at 13th. And his overall grade was the bottom third. So I'm less intrigued by this. I'm going to say I'm out on, and this is without film, right? This is without watching any film. I'm just going straight up contract. Can you play left guard? Can you be our backup center? Not for $10 million. I don't think the Lions are bringing in a backup center for $10 million. I think that's where you have to, spend another draft pick in this draft. And hopefully you get a shot at Connor Lew that falls, and now you got the best of both worlds, someone that can play guard and can play center, and it just can sit and get healthy for a year and learn. All right, next guy up, Romeo Doubs.
I'm out. I don't think we need a wide receiver this year. And I don't know. Just doesn't do anything for me as far as the Detroit Lions go.
Yeah, this is pretty easy. Romeo Doubs, he'll be back in Green Bay, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think that there's a case there. But this next guy, tight end Isaiah Likely,
yes.
I do believe could be likely in Detroit. Age 25, Isaiah Likely chose a bad time to regress. However, I can't blame all of last season on him, but he produced career lows in games played, 14. I mean, that's not terrible. 27 receptions, 307 yards, 1 touchdown. He also created a touchback against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 13. Ravens chose to extend Mark Andrews to a 3-year, $39.3 million deal in December, indicating that Likely will likely be able to hit the open market with his stock at an all-time low. 1-year deal might be best in 26. I love it. So I love the 1-year contender option here for Isaiah Likely. I think that he would be a great fit in Detroit just from the stylistic perspective of his game.
Spotrac has him at $9.1 million average salary for his evaluation.
I think that's going to be a little high.
Yeah, it might be. And that would be nice.
Yeah, I think that's way high.
Million. Yeah. Get someone like that for $5 or $6 million and see what they can do with Petzing and our other tight end. Whew. God, to have 2 really good catching tight ends like that. Because Likely, I really like that kid. I had him in fantasy football, I'm not going to lie. And he's had some stats. Maybe not in 2025, but he has done it.
Why is his name not popping up?
You spelling it wrong or something?
No.
He spells Isaiah really weird.
Yeah, I know, and I'm spelling it right. I'm wondering if OTC spelled it wrong.
Oh, possibly.
I put in his last name. Nope, then it pops up. That's weird. All right. According to OTC, the valuation is 4.989.
Oh, wow.
So if he's somewhere between that, call it $7.5 million,
There you go.
I could see the Lions doing a 1 year, $5.5-6 million deal, guarantee 50% of it, give him a 50% signing bonus, $3 million up front, but backload it with having him, having to produce, right? Incentive laden style of a deal. He's got to produce. And then if he does produce, then there's an opportunity for him to hit the market next year. And, where was he? A former, what draft pick was he?
Let's see. He was round 4, number 139 in 2022.
All right, so he's not going to help us a whole lot in the comp battle. All right, Attila the Hun Detroit says, I got $2 for you, and I got a quick question. What is the most important position? Left tackle, left guard, Goff. What is that? Goff, Detroit, DP? What is that? I don't know.
Defensive player?
Goff, Detroit, and then DP? I'm not following you, Attila.
Yeah.
But I will say this, most important position, left tackle or left guard. Well, left tackle for sure. And then center. Left tackle and center. As far as Goff, he's not going anywhere. But I don't understand the rest of that question.
Maybe it was for Goff. Is left tackle or left guard more important?
I don't know. I don't know what DP is. Defensive player?
Yeah, has to be.
If you're going to ask me what is the most important position in the first round, I'm going to say left tackle. Second round, I'm hoping that a center, like I'm hoping that Slaughter or somebody slips into that second round, and then I would say center in second round. And I'm hoping that Brad Holmes does something to gain some more draft picks. Like, let's give up some 27 draft capital. Let's gain some additional draft picks. Oh, Drew Petzing. Okay, so the question is, what is the most important position, left tackle or left guard for Goff and Drew Petzing? Is that it? For Drew Petzing's offense. It's left tackle. For sure. Left guard, I think we're good with Mahogany. He fits that scheme. And I think Frazier Mahogany will battle it out. But Isaiah Likely, give me a 1 year, $6 million deal on this guy.
Yeah, I'm all in on Likely. That's probably my favorite tight end in all of this. I think he could have a big resurgence.
He makes there was an article that popped out on Yahoo a day ago where the Lions were expected to explode to a $52 million tight end, and I think that they were talking about Isaiah Likely. Had they not realized that Isaiah Likely had a very down year, and when Mark Andrews just signed a 3-year, $39 million deal, I think that tells you that the going rate for a tight end right now is $13 million a year. And it's going to be somewhere between $13 million and what McBride was given. I don't think that you pay Sam Laporta top money. I don't think that you can. I don't think that you should.
Yeah, not with the back injury, you can't. And Isaiah Likely, he had 27 receptions for 307 yards and 1 touchdown this past season, where the year before he had 42 receptions with 477 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he really dropped off from 6 touchdowns all the way down to 1, and from 477 yards down to 307. So the 2024, you have to remember Mark Andrews was injured and Likely really came on. And then in 2025, Mark Andrews was back and he was healthy. And then you had a regression out of Likely. So I think that if Likely came to Detroit, I think he would thrive with this new coordinator Petzing and with Sam Laporta. I really think us having 2 really good tight ends would really transform this offense.
Well, we definitely need 3, but if Brock Wright is around, I mean, he can be your blocking tight end that catches that occasional, 50-yard touchdown, which he seems to do, or at least catch something helps move the sticks. All right, next up, go ahead and talk about Nakobe Dean, one of my favorite players coming out of the draft that year. Just kidding, he wasn't.
All right. So Philadelphia Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean. You knew the Eagles were going to start losing some players because Howie can only keep him for so long. He's 25, 0 Pro Bowls, 0 All Pros. Injuries are what's held Nakobe Dean back his whole career. So wouldn't he be perfect for Brad Holmes? He fell to the 3rd round in the draft because of a pectoral strain and played just 34 defensive snaps as a rookie. Dean found his footing in 2024 with 15 starts, but his postseason run ended in the opening round because of a torn patellar tendon that held him out for the first 6 games of 2025. He also missed the Eagles' Week 17 defeat against the Buffalo Bills. Ability is not the issue here. Availability is, and that makes his free agent market murky.
Yeah, I'm out on Nakobe Dean. He's a 3-4. He's a 3-4 style.
Yeah.
Question to Tiffany in the chat. Yeah, Tom Kennedy's not a tight end. I don't remember him ever playing tight end unless he had to play simply because Sam was out, Brock was out, and someone needed to fill that position. And I guess that kind of fits back to what I was talking about with Isaac Tesla the other day. I don't remember which game it was that Kennedy would have had to fill in, at that position, but it's more so being a receiving. You're still a receiver. You're just lined up in the tight end position, if that makes sense. He's not a tight end at 5'10", $180, whatever he is. There's no way he can play tight end. Isaac Tesla, however, is an inch taller than Sam Laporta, who's also 20 pounds heavier than Isaac Tesla. But that's where I was saying Isaac Tesla can play a receiving tight end position, and it's simply just lining up in that position. You're not really a tight end per se. You're going to be the one that's going out for the passes. You're not going to be the one that's blocking. Now, that will give defenses, I guess, a key on what you're doing. So it can work against you. He's going to have to block no matter what, but it would be, far less. Like Isaiah Likely is 6'4", 240. Sam Laporta is 6'3", 240. Isaac Tesla is 6'4", 215. Even if you get him up to 225, that would be plenty big enough, as long as it's, a little bit of lower body strength mixed with some upper body strength. I think that Isaac Tesla could do some damage lining up in that tight end set. There was another stat that I like to look at, which is passer rating when targeted. And I'll have to come back to that passer rated when targeted rate. But when I look at bringing in other players from other teams, it's that passer rating when targeted that really matters the most to me. What are they doing to help your team win or lose? Safety Cameron Curl. Lions need a safety. Cameron Curl did a little bit of everything with Washington in his first 4 seasons, but the Rams, he's been more of a traditional deep safety in passing situations, while also moving down into the box near the line of scrimmage to play the run. Pro Football Focus grades Curl as the NFL's 6th best safety in run defense, and with an 84.7 grade. He is in for a raise this offseason. The one thing I like about Cameron Curl is exactly that. The guy is great against the run, so that fits Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell to a T. As far as his pass coverage, they didn't talk about his pass coverage grades at all, but he has an 84.7 run defense grade, 66.1 in coverage. So he was outside the top 32 in coverage. He was actually ranked 35th, but he was a midline overall 15th highest graded safety this past season. If you go back just one season ago, I need to put this back in front of me. I hate tilting my neck like that. If you go back one season ago, he was a 68.9 in run defense, 59.9 in coverage. So he had a little bit of a better season in 25. He's playing at a high rate right now in 23. Good coverage, 67.8, still outside the top 32. Run defense outside the top 64. Overall, he was, bottom third safety in the league. 2022, which I believe was his rookie season, that is where he set the NFL on fire. He was at 80.8 in coverage, 80.5 on run defense, 82.9 overall. But the question is, how many snaps? Right? That's the question. And when you go to his weekly grades, they all looked pretty good. When you go to his snap counts back in 2022, only 727. So he played probably 80% of the season, I would assume. But that was his best season. Cameron Curl has been in the league now 6 seasons. He's going to get a raise. Eric, have you seen what his value is?
Well, they don't have it because he's still playing in the playoffs.
Oh, I don't know why that.
Yeah, it's not showing a market value for him at all.
I have 9.4 million.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
if it was 9.4 million, then yeah, if you could lock this guy up on a 3-year, 30, 35, even 40 million for 3 years, I would do it.
Yeah,
I would absolutely do it.
He just helped the LA Rams seal the deal in overtime. He's the one that caught that interception.
He's prototypical size, 6'2", 198. We love the height. We love the length. I'll have to dig into him a little bit more, but he's definitely going to be added to my list here for free agency looks for the Lions. I don't know if the Rams are going to let him go, but if the Rams do win a Super Bowl this year, they will lose some players. Any thoughts for you?
I would love to have him. I mean, he's perfect. My kind of safety. So, yeah, he's only 26 years old. He's got 5 years of experience. He was a 7th rounder, number 216 overall in 2020. And this will be his 3rd contract coming up. And yeah, this is a kid that's performing and keeping going. Not taking no for an answer. I like him. I really liked watching him last week in that playoff game.
All right, let's take the Bears here in the Sean Wright corner.
All right, Nashawn Wright. He has 0 Pro Bowls, no All Pros, and he is 27, and he plays for the Chicago Bears. Well, the Chicago Bears cornerback Nashawn Wright is the only player in the NFL in 2025 with at least 5 interceptions, 10 passes defended, and multiple forced fumbles since 2020. He is one of just 5 players with such a season, joining Xavier Howard, Kevin Byard, Jesse Bates, and Marlon Humphrey. A 2021 third-round pick out of Dallas. Wright reunited with former Cowboys defensive backs coach Al Harris in Chicago, and he has thrived. Wright only entered the starting lineup because Jalen Johnson's early season injury issues. But he's been so good, he's kept his spot, starting 16 of 17 games played this season. In the right scheme, his length at 6'4" allows him to thrive in a vision defense that capitalizes on his instincts and anticipation. Now, after hearing that doesn't sound like too bad of a corner. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to go a little deeper with this guy. Look, I like the length. I do. I mean, you can't tell me that having longer arms and a longer body as a corner isn't ideal. That it isn't a better fit for any team. One of the biggest things is being able to get your hands up to disrupt the pass, right? To be able to bat those passes down, break it up. And my biggest question is, how does he mirror match? Does he stay in phase, or is he late to the arrival and then uses his body, uses his length to disrupt? I will have to dig in on some film on him, but he's created quite a bit of penalties this year. He's had at least 7 penalties this season. And that tells me that he's probably late to arrive, and that he's maybe getting a little bit too too aggressive at the point of attack, which, the 10 passes defense, I mean, that's a direct correlation to his length. The 5 interceptions, that's a direct correlation to him being in the right spot, but also using his length. Reaching up and to snatch something out of the air at 6'4", I mean, he's damn near reaching 10 foot with barely jumping. So that I love it. I love the length. I need to know more about him. The fact that he's stood in for Jalen Johnson, it's telling, but at the same time, it might not be as much because they're working with a pretty good defensive front right now. That is going to make your back end a lot better. Vice versa, your secondary can make your D-line a lot better. Throughout his history, he's barely averaged 100 snaps a year. And he was not a good corner in 23, 22, and 21. This year, he's kind of had a breakout. So I see all flash, no consistency. Even though he's had a great year, 1 year wonders happen. And then what happens is they get signed and then they go back to being what they weren't in that year. So I want consistency. And this is not a Bears hate thing because if you're a good football player, I don't care where you're coming from. I need to see consistency. And I see 1 year is what I see. For that reason, I would be out.
Yeah, and his stuff on Spotrac is not loading at all. Spotrac's going weird on me.
His valuation is $10.3 million from what I see.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be terrible, but DJ Reed, Terry and Arnold, and then another $10 million guy, I'd rather have a safety. Can he play safety?
Yep.
Like at that size, that length, can you play safety and be a rover and use that length to go and snag some balls? Maybe he could. But safety's not an easy position either. It's not. You've got to be highly intelligent to play safety.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's not. I'm just saying it's just not an easy position.
And him playing for the Bears, we said all along that the Bears were only going to go as far as that defense would take them, getting lucky and getting all those turnovers. They had a stretch there in the middle of the season where they're getting 3 to 5 turnovers a game, and that's just not sustainable. It was a lot of luck against some very, very bad teams.
All right, defensive end Joey Bosa. I'm just going to tell you I'm already out. The price will be too much.
Yep.
Joey Bosa has been an underrated piece, according to this article, for the Buffalo Bills defense this season. He's not the same guy he was in the late 2010s because of injuries, but Pro Football Focus grades him as the 7th highest graded pass rushing edge defender at an 88.7. Bosa can help stabilize any team's pass rush and could potentially get close to $20 million average per year on a short-term deal this offseason. Yeah, no, I'm good. Anything for you?
Nah, I'm everybody's wanted him for so long, and I'm out. It'd be way too expensive. And has he mostly been in a 3-4 or a 4-3?
I'd have to go back and look, but he was with the Chargers forever.
Yeah, and that was a 3-4.
But his injury history is why I'm out. It's not so much the $20 million a year. That's cheap. But it's the injury history. The dude is riddled with injuries. It's just a ticking, waiting to happen. How many games has he played this year? Did he play a full season this year? I think he did. All right. How about safety Jalen Hawkins?
Well, he's 28 years old, 0 Pro Bowls, no All-Pros. Hawkins was a 2020 4th-round pick of the Atlanta Falcons, bounced around to Los Angeles, and then landed with the New England Patriots in 24. In 25, he's broken out to become an impact player. Hawkins does a little bit of everything with 4 interceptions, 6 passes defended, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and 1.5 sacks in 15 games played, all starts. Pro Football Focus grades Hawkins as its number 5 overall safety with an 83.3 defensive grade. He can make some real money in free agency this offseason, likely somewhere around $10 million in average per year money. That sounds kind of interesting. Let's see what this guy's got going on.
His valuation is kind of right in the same neighborhood as everybody else, around 9.4, 10 million. Going through some of his stats, though, he's kind of been up and down. When he jumped into league at 2020, he was rarely used. He was used about 7% of the time on defense, primarily played special teams 30% of the time. His second season, he was just a special teamer 52% of the time, but he got a bump in work on the defense, about 40% of the snaps. Year 3, they transitioned him from special teams, where he was only out there about 11% of the time, to more defensive role 85% of the time he was on the field. Did something happen in 22 or 23?
He went to the Chargers.
Okay, so in 2023, they decided to put him out on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
And only on the defense 11% of the time. But then in the second season with the Chargers, hold on.
Well, then he went to New England.
Yeah,
in
so second season, that was fourth season. Come on, history. There, pull it back up. So after his year with the Chargers, he went to the Patriots. In his first season with the Patriots, they put him on the field 55% of the time on defense, 66% of the time in special teams. And then this year, kind of the same evolution from 21 to 22. 82% of the time he's on the field in defense, only 11% of the time he was on the field for special teams. So what I see, Eric, is when I look at consistency, right? Every time he got an opportunity to play more defense and less special teams, he played better. In 2022, he had 85% of defensive snaps, 11% of special teams, which is almost a mirror image to 2025. And in both those seasons, he had 43 tackles and then 44. He had 1.5 sacks this year. He didn't have any back then. Sacks I don't really look at for DBs. TFLs, he popped out 3 this year, or popped in 3 this year. In 22, he didn't have any. Quarterback hits, he had 1 in 22. He had 5 this year, so they're obviously using him a little bit more off the edge. And passes defensed, he had 6 in each season. Interceptions, he had 2 in 22, 4 in 25. Forced fumbles, he had 1 in each year. Forced fumble recoveries, he had 1 in each year. So every time he gets an opportunity to play, he plays better when he's playing on defense primarily. Hawkins is added to my list.
Yeah, I don't mind this kid. And how big is he?
Oh,
see that anywhere? That's the one thing I don't have is his measurables.
Are you in PFF?
No, Spotrac.
Oh, you got to get PFF or something open. I think I spelled his name wrong. 2 N's.
Yeah, he's got a funky spelled name there.
Hey, it's his name, man. It's what his mama gave him. 6'1", 208. So he does have that prototypical size too.
Well, there you go.
I wonder what happened though. Like how was he drafted?
And he could come to Detroit with a Super Bowl ring on.
How was he drafted by the Falcons? And so it was renegotiated. Did they cut him? Was he cut after being drafted?
I don't know.
He must have been. Why would his contract be renegotiated? Not that it matters. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cut by the Falcons October 17 of 2023. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 2020. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm not going to waste the time looking for it. But Hawkins, prototypical size. He's kind of broken out to be an impact player, as the article says, for the Patriots. I can't see. I really can't see the Patriots walking away from this kid. But if he gets the right offer, he should be a unrestricted free agent this year.
Yep.
So if he gets the right offer, maybe he ends up in Detroit. How about Jamel Dean, a name that has popped up for Detroit many times?
I'm out. I saw what Detroit did to him. I don't want to have that at corner for myself. But he's 29 years old, 0 Pro Bowls, no All Pros. Jamel Dean is allowed just 1 touchdown in coverage while racking up 4 interceptions across the last 2 seasons. His 34.4 passer rating allowed as the primary defender in coverage in 2025 ranked as the best in the NFL among 136 players with at least 50 passes thrown their way. Hip and shoulder injuries combined to cost him 3 games in 2025, while a hamstring injury contributed to Dean missing 5 in 2024. Dean turning 30 during the 2026 season in tandem with injuries could hinder his market to a degree if teams don't mind the age plus injury history at the position that typically doesn't age well. Dean could earn starting caliber money at over $10 million in average salary. So this one would just remind me of the Carlton Davis deal, a quarterback that came from Tampa, that's older, that seems to have injuries and miss a third of the time. I would rather go with someone younger, someone fresher.
Are we still talking about Dean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're out too, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been out. There's just come on. There's just no need for him. It'll be too much.
They tried to sprinkle some powdered sugar on him there on the on the listing for him, but it's not enough to get past me.
No. All right, next up, New York Giants wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson at 25 years old, 5'8", 185, dependable hands. 2.29% drop rate was the 10th lowest in the league in 25 among 49 players with at least 90 targets. He's Robinson also has plenty of speed to break free downfield. He had a career year with his first 1,000-yard season while averaging over 10 yards per reception for the first time in 4 seasons in 2025. Look, some teams may see him as a slot player only, but that could still be good enough to get close to $20 million in average per year salary on a multi-year deal.
That's a lot of money.
Look, he requires a very specific scheme. And in a scheme like Drew Petzing's, it could work with tight, bunch formations. It could work because you can leverage speed and get behind those linebackers and hopefully, burn across the face of those corners. This is not someone I see coming to Detroit at all. So I'm good on this guy.
Yep. And then the next one's going to be really fast.
Nope. See ya.
Los Angeles Chargers defensive end Khalil Mack. No, thank you. 34 years old, 9 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pros, but those are all in the past. He didn't do anything this year. No, thank you.
Let's see. What did he do this year? I'm just, because I'm sure someone will do a video. Should the Lions sign Khalil Mack?
But this next guy coming up, he's very interesting.
Oh, goodness. Where is it? Wow, he's got no grades? I've never seen this before. What is this all about? Yeah.
Wow.
What in the world is going on here? Oh, I got to sign back in again. That would help. Oh, unable to retrieve. Invalid authorization state. What is that all about?
They're hiding it from you, Will. They don't want you to know what's going on because somebody's writing a story about Khalil Mack going to the Detroit Lions.
Probably.
They're blocking you from looking.
I don't know. It's just like lost connection or something with the server.
I'm telling you, my internet's been goofy this morning. Yesterday on the show, it just shut off for some reason, then turned right back on. All I did was unplug my internet, plug it back in, and it worked again. So,
have you tested your speeds?
No, I haven't.
You should do that afterward. Don't do it now because it'll kick you out.
Oh, okay.
All right. So this year, I just had to look for Khalil Mack. He did play. He was in 424 snaps. That reeks of rotation. Obviously, at his age, he's not going to be playing a ton. He maybe got 40% of the snaps, 45%, I would say. Overall grade 83, run defense 80, tackling 59, pass rush 68, coverage 79, missed tackle percent 11.1, 23 stops this year. Come on, keep on going. There we go. 39 pressures and 6 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, 28 hurries, no batted balls, 19 tackles. I mean, he's decent year. It's a pretty decent year, I guess. But I don't want a 50-year-old Khalil Mack. No way. I don't need I wouldn't want a guy that you're going to pay that kind of money to. How about tight end David Njoku, man? This is another one that is interesting to me.
Interesting. But at 29 years old, and he's going to turn 30 in July, is he getting to the end, even though he was a first round number 29 overall in 2017? This is going to be his 10th season in the NFL.
Njoku?
Yep. It doesn't seem like it, but this is going to be his 10th season. He's made a Pro Bowl. He has not made an All-Pro. And I was looking at his fines and suspensions. He's had 3 of them. One for an obscene gesture against Pittsburgh, tripping against Los Angeles, and
sounds
taunting
like Brian Branch.
a taunting gun celebration.
7 penalties this year, or in 2017. 0 penalties this year, though.
Ah, there you go.
According to PFF.
And it looks like he had a decent year, 33 receptions, 293 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The last 5-6 years, 4 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 4 he's consistent. 4, 5, 6 touchdowns. So call it 5 a year. He's getting 5 touchdowns a year for the last 5-6 years.
I'll tell you why this makes sense to me. And I don't know if you remember this or not.
I like his size.
Yeah, size is great. 33 catches, 293 yards. Yeah, that could be a lot better. But he is a significant red zone threat.
Mm-hmm.
But where I have to lean on this the most is, hold on, let me get to it.
And they say his market value is right about 10 million.
Seems a bit too high for me. But need to go back to DetroitFootballJournal.com. Make sure you guys sign up today. Get your free 6-month membership. I promise I will do those today. I keep forgetting. But sign up today and you're going to be able to get access to all of the paywall free or paywalled activity for free. Paywall articles, paywall videos. I think that there's a way to go live now on the Substack, so we're going to utilize it. But the reason why this guy would excite me is exactly what you're going to find in my article on DetroitFootballJournal.com, and it's exactly called this. Detroit Lions OC Drew Petzing. Now, this makes perfect sense, and here's why. Talk about tight ends a lot, right? Tight end usage, 13, jumbo 13, 12, jumbo 12, jumbo 11. David Njoku. Before Arizona, Petzing was the tight ends coach for the Cleveland Browns 2020 to 2021. Under Petzing, David Njoku developed into a complete tight end. In 21, the Browns were the only team in the NFL to have 3 different tight ends record at least 3 touchdowns each. The translation to the Lions to be this suggests that not only will Laporta feast, but the Lions tight end 2, potentially Brock Wright, or a draft pick, will also be a significant factor in the red zone. Expect it, the Lions will be drafting another tight end in 2026. But in free agency, you might see the Petzing effect bringing David Njoku to Detroit. Now, what do you think?
Yeah. So he coached him before?
Yes, with the Browns.
Yeah. Because he was under Stefanski, correct?
Petzing
Yeah.
and Stefanski.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Petzing was the coach. So
Nice.
so there's relationship there is I guess where
What-
I'm going with this. You know what I'm saying?
what,
He was the tight ends coach in
Tight
2020.
ends coach.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if he was a tight ends coach. So he really knows this guy.
Yeah.
So this might be number one on the free agent list for the Detroit Lions.
Oh yeah, could be.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, knowing that little tidbit of information, people like to bring in what they're familiar with. And that might be a player that he's familiar with. He'll know whether he has a bad attitude or a good attitude, or if he was just in a bad situation. And
Well,
man,
the other thing too, like sorry not to interrupt you, but like what
Yeah.
you read here about Njoku is Harold Fannin. Oh, if you guys watch the if you watch the Reese's Pro Bowl and the East West Shrine game last year with me, I did it live. Fannin was one of my favorite guys, and the other one, my God, what was his name? What was his name? Oh, either way, I liked Fannin, but he is now the number one target, the go-to guy for Shedeur Sanders last season. So if that's the fact, right? Why would you want to be second fiddle to this guy and not take another opportunity where you could be heavily utilized? The Lions need someone that can play, someone that knows the scheme, they can step in immediately, and you don't have to worry about explaining everything to a rookie, which I still expect the Lions to, whether they draft somebody or not, they're still going to have to bring in some free agents. You mentioned his valuation was what?
10.
10. Yeah, I think the Lions can do better than that. I really do.
And if he's trying to make a decision, if he's trying to make a decision whether to stay with the Browns, go somewhere else, the Lions or the Bears, he can look at Petzing and say, well, I've worked with this guy before and I did pretty well with this guy. This guy's the guy that taught me everything. I'm going to give these guys a shot over here. I'd rather go over here because they're offering the same money that these guys over there are offering.
See, I'm seeing 5.2 million.
Okay.
And so you have 10. I have 5.2. If you land in the middle and you call it 7.5, I still think that's too much. And given his age and his production, I would think, let's see, what was his production this year? It was 5 games he was inactive, back-to-back seasons. So he had 12 games. He had 47.5% of the snaps, 33 catches, 293. I mean, he would be exactly what Brock Wright should be doing. All right, what did Brock Wright do last year? I know he exited early with that neck injury.
Yeah, not much. He only played a couple games.
Let's see. He was in for 11, 36% of offense, 14 catches, 108 yards, 2 TDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Njoku could easily be the better version of Brock Wright.
Mm-hmm.
But you still need a Brock Wright. You need that bigger body. I mean, Brock reminds me a lot of Dan Campbell. But I think Dan Campbell is just a lot better in the passing game than what Brock is. Man, we're almost there. How about Pittsburgh Steelers guard Isaac Suimalo, excuse me. Suimalo is winning more on a down-to-down basis in 2025 than he did as a Pro Bowler in 24. His 1.6% beat rate is nearly half of his 3.1% beat rate from 2024. Pro Football Focus graded Suimalo as the 4th best pass-blocking guard, 78.5 in the NFL. Plenty of teams could be interested in his services as he creeps into his mid-30s, though. Does he have any All-Pros? No. Does he have any Pro Bowls? He has 1. Could he be a similar version of Kevin Zeitler without the All-Pro status? The mid-30s, the guy that's playing extremely well, you definitely need a backup. Would he be willing to come in and be a backup and fight for a role? That's the question.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This says he's worth $9.6 million, so it's probably a little less than that.
Which would be a huge advantage for the Lions, given the fact that they spent 15 on Zeitler.
Yeah. You're taking a risk.
Why are we taking a risk?
Let's see what his statistics were. It looks like he played 769 snaps. He played 74.59% of the snaps this year, and he played in 14 games and started 14 games.
At left guard, though, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't say what his injuries were for this year, but when he played with Philly back in 2021 and 2020, he had a knee and a foot.
I'm less worried about that. That's, you're 4 years removed.
Yeah.
And in 2022, he bounced back and he played 1135, and then in 23, 1,038. Last 2 seasons, he played 826 and 770 snaps, respectively. No penalties this last season, which is huge. Run block 68.3, 78.5 in the past. Overall 74.9. Look, I love the fact that he is a journeyman. He's been with 2 teams, but he's a vet. I'm seeing 7.8. You're seeing what? 9 something?
9.6.
If you could bring in this guy as a vet on a very good deal.
Has to be a 1-year deal. This guy is 32 years old.
32 is okay with me. I mean, Zeitler was 35.
He's going to be 33 in October. And this is his 10th season. That's a lot of wear and tear. That's a lot of snaps. Yeah, I'd say on a 1-year deal, I'd be in. But what position is he going to play? Is he going to come in and be the starter at left guard? Does he usually play left guard or right guard?
Left guard.
Okay. So you're going to take Mahogany out.
No, they're gonna battle. So I guess what I would say is you want stiff competition, right?
Yes.
That is the most important thing. Now, what if that the Lions do decide to put Tate to center? Then you now need a vet on his left.
Yeah.
Or on his right. I do not want another young guy next to him. I would want to surround him by vets. So if Tate is going to move to center, then my play is you have to get a vet. Penesul will be 2 spots over, and whoever our left tackle could be Decker, it could be a Rook. But if you bring in a guy like Suimalo, well, Frazier can play right guard. Absolutely. Mahogany can probably play right guard.
Mm-hmm.
But do we want a young guy on both sides is the question. I think Mahogany would be okay. He'll be in his 3rd season.
Yeah, Mahogany would just depend on which leg is shorter for him.
Yeah,
whether
right.
he could play left or right guard. I mean, come on, keep it real.
Yeah.
Maybe he's better at right.
Remember when I said that I said,
Yeah.
when we found this out, did it help him with his anchor? Because if he's anchoring with that longer leg, well, then that gives him an advantage.
Yeah.
Oh,
God. I wonder if one of my legs is longer than the other. I don't know.
I'm sure mine are. How screwed up my spine is. See, Zeitler's getting $9 million from the Titans. Yeah, that ship has sailed. Zeitler's not coming back.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, and he got seven from us, not 15.
Zeitler?
Yeah.
I thought he got 15 from the Lions.
He might have been 15 for 2 seasons, but he only played 1 season with us, I thought.
No, he was 1 season. I thought the Lions paid him 15. No, it was 9. It was $9 million. Nope. Hold on. Go back to history.
I think 9's what he got from Tennessee.
Let's see. Maybe I'm thinking of DJ Reader for some reason. Zeitler got $6 million. Guaranteed 5.5. Amount earned 5.97. So yeah, I mean it's still a good deal though. Whatever it is, still a good deal. The number on Zeitler's doesn't matter. I must have been thinking of DJ Reader for some reason. Moving on. Kansas City Chiefs safety Brian Cook. What do you think?
Well, his market value is $14.2 million, but Brian Cook, 0 Pro Bowls, 0 All Pros. He's been a versatile chess piece in the Steve Spagnuolo defense the last 3 seasons. He's better at defending the run than the pass, but he's made strides in coverage. Ball protection isn't the greatest with just 3 interceptions in 4 seasons and no forced fumbles, but a steady safety. He'll get a healthy starting safety contract in free agency, around $15 million in average salary. I can't believe that. 26 years old, and Spotrac has him at 14.2, and CBS has him at 15. What do you got over there, Will?
Hold on here. Hold on.
I think that's way too much.
Hold on.
Why? Because he's from the Chiefs. The guy's. It looks like his statistics aren't as good as the other safeties we looked at, and they're saying he's going to get a lot more.
Why?
Because he came from the Chiefs?
I don't know. Hold on.
They should rank these guys by how much they think they're going to get in free agency.
See, what number did you get?
I have 14.2 on here, and
right. This says 15, and I see 6.8.
Yeah.
This is why I do my own valuations. When I first started doing it, I think I started with Alex Anzalone. I got that one right. You have to really look at a broad range of stats, production, time in the league, the Pro Bowls, obviously the All Pros, all that stuff factors. You have to look at the franchise tag. You have to look at the 5th-year options. You kind of mix it all in, tumble it all together, and you get an average number based on years of experience in production, right? And I don't see what you're seeing, though. His stats, 4 years in the league.
Yeah.
He had a jump in production as far as time on the field over the last 2 years. Passes defense, about 5 or 6 per year. Interceptions, he's only had 3 his entire career.
0 this year.
But if you look at his grades, again, take it with a grain of salt from PFF. But if you take a look at his grades, 83.5 this year. Overall, 88.4 in tackling, 82 or 83.2 in coverage, and 80.1 against the run. So he's had a major bounce up in his grading this year. He went from a 63.7 to a 83.5.
Wow.
His tackling has gotten better every year. Well, it fell off a little bit in 23, but it's gotten better. 85 last year, 88 this year. His coverage went from a 55 to an 83. Let me go back to his reception against. He's been targeted 32 times this year, 21 receptions, 65.6% reception percentage. He's giving up a 111.7 passer rating, though. I don't see it.
Yeah, confusing.
But he does play in the box. He plays free safety. He plays slot, corner. Every year, he's all over the place. So he's a versatile piece that I just don't see 15 million.
Yeah.
If it was 15 million, I mean, if he's that good, then yeah, bring him in. But 6'1", 206, prototypical size, good speed, good coverage ability. At least for one season, the consistency may not be there. You could probably make an argument for the last 2 seasons, but it's probably one that I wouldn't spend any time on. Deebo Samuel.
One good season, I'm out.
One good season. What was the good season? Whoa, what happened?
21 when he was an all-pro and a Pro Bowler with the 49ers. I mean, he was okay this year, but we already have Amon-Ra St. Brown. We don't need Samuel as well. And he's a bit of a diva.
Hold on here. Let me go back to the chat for just a second.
Okay.
Someone wanting to move on from St. Brown because he spoke truth? I don't think so. To say his antics, like St. Brown said what needed to be said. And it's hilarious to me that people are taking it any other way.
Are people getting mad because he said that football fans are dumb?
No, he didn't say football fans are dumb. What he said is He said Lions fans don't know football. A lot of them don't know. He didn't say everybody, but he said a lot of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they don't.
yeah.
They don't.
Exactly.
Flat out, they don't. You know? I guess unless you study the game, unless you've played the game, you should probably just quit listening to all the people that have nothing but negative stuff to say. Maybe listen to the people that try to break things down.
Who is this V-man? I saw videos of St. Brown throwing fits in the locker room about targets that can get toxic. No, you never saw that.
Oh no,
Come
he did.
on.
He did. That was his rookie season, I believe.
I've never seen this.
Yeah, he was walking back into the locker room. I think he was in the hallway, and he said something about throw me the damn football or something like that. But that was like his rookie year, or it might have been his second season. And that was about where that ended. So
there's no toxic anything in our from Amon Ra.
What else here? Ian Kennelly will be back. He'll be an all-pro. Your hot take? I got to drizzle some water on that, Attila. Ian Kennelly is a 7th-round pick. No history of doing anything yet. I don't know how you can go from a nobody to an all-pro in a year. That would be crazy. And coming back from a major injury. Maybe in 3 seasons. But I see Ian Kennelly being more of a backup. He's going to have to earn a spot this year. There's no guarantee he even makes the roster. I get it. He was playing pretty good during.
He was what, a safety?
Yeah. He was playing pretty good.
But
During camp.
Yeah. Availability is the best ability. Same with Dan Jackson. I mean, I thought Dan Jackson was having one hell of a camp, and then he got hurt.
Who?
Dan Jackson, the safety, our 7th-round safety that we drafted.
Here, hold on here. Game log. I don't even see where. I don't see any stats for Ian Kennelly for last year. Not even preseason.
He made it to the regular season, didn't he? Didn't he get brought up from the practice squad and then got injured?
Hold on. Kennelly, I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought he got brought up.
No, there's 0 stats for him.
No.
0. Dan Jackson, same thing.
Being a business owner takes hard work and a whole lot of miles.
Thanks.
Yeah,
for that.
Dan never made it out of the preseason. Yeah, I don't even think he made it to the preseason game.
I don't think he did either. But there's
he
nothing.
He got hurt in camp.
There's nothing for either of those guys.
Yeah, just like Rakestraw, he got hurt in camp. Absolutely nothing.
All right, moving on. Deebo Samuel, I'm out. Clowney, I'm moving right past that clown.
Yeah.
Joel Bitonio, guard, Cleveland Browns, 34 years old. I'm good on this one. He's definitely past his prime. It even mentions in here, see, Bitonio would make a lot of sense for a team like the Detroit Lions. Look for interior help for cheap to return to the playoffs. So just like I was saying a minute ago about Suimalo, that makes more sense to me than a Joel Bitonio. Why do we want a guy that's 34 years old that's lost a step? All pro? Yep. Pro Bowls? Yep. But if they're saying that he's lost a step, why would we want to bring him in?
I don't know.
He only allowed 2 sacks in 25. I mean, yeah, I think that he would be probably a little bit better as far as having a vet on the roster to help your other guys grow and learn. But if he's lost a step, he's lost a step. And you see anything for contract on him?
Oh, I did not look him up. I can, though.
I'm seeing $12.5 million. 17 games played. 99.7% of offensive snaps played the last 2 seasons. And also played a little bit on special teams.
This says 12.9.
So those are pretty locked in. About $12 million.
Yeah. And this will be his 12th season.
He didn't have a bad year, though. 70 overall, 75.7 in the pass, 64.4 in the run. One penalty. Played 1,081 snaps. He would have to be a lot less than $12 million. A lot less. I don't know his injury history, but I would say I'm probably out on that one. Bobby Wagner, 35 years old. I'm good on this one too. Not even going to go through it.
Nope. How he's still playing his
Demario Davis, again, not going through that one either. Like he's way past his prime for me.
What about Joe Flacco? You want him as a backup?
Nope, good on him. Yeah, these last ones are just not. Yeah, they're nothing. Falcons defensive tackle David Onyemata, 33 years old.
Eighth best defensive tackle in 2025 with a 78.2 defensive grade.
This one is more intriguing than it's not. Now, were they saying here that he helped the James Pierce Jr. be the rookie leader in sacks? Maybe. Damn, they have James Pierce and Jelon Walker.
This says his market value is $8.4 million.
That's a good number.
9 years experience. He was a 4th round pick in 2016.
Look, he's been around, like he's been in the league for a long time. If you can get it, if you can get him on the cheap and he can come in and compete, then great. But I think the Lions want to get younger, healthier, and faster. I really would need to look at tape as far as what he can do. I'm gonna write him down. I'll review him. What the hell?
Give you something to do.
No, I got a lot to do. I mean, I'm so far backed up, it's not even funny. Okay. That's it for the top 50. Out of the top 50, did you make any notes, like on anybody that you're willing to take a shot at?
I think the ones that intrigued me the most were David Njoku and Likely for the tight ends. Guards would be Samalo. And then centers, of course, the kid from the Ravens, but I really like the one from the Bills there, Connor McGovern. I liked him for center. And then if you're talking to safety, I really like the guy from the Rams, the best out of all of them.
Cameron Curl.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, obviously Linderbaum's on the list to review. Got to see how it fits. I'll review him. I'm gonna review Quay Walker simply because it was a request. I'm not real high on Walker.
No, his attitude just would not fit here in Detroit.
Now, defensive end Odafe Oweh. He's also someone that intrigues me, but the film's going to tell me the rest. I'm only going to review him simply because I think the Lions need to bring somebody in and or draft or both. Seattle Seahawks cornerback Tariq Woolen. Yeah, it's a pipe dream, so I'm not going to waste my time. Saints cornerback Alontae Taylor. Probably not. Linebacker Devin Lloyd. Probably not. Jalen Watson. Let's see. He's not on my list. Jalen Watson. I can't see the Kansas City Chiefs letting him go. They've already let one of their premier corners go. I don't think they're going to let another one go. Definitely not Mike Evans. One of the next guys on my list. I do have Cameron Curl. I have Jalen Hawkins, David Njoku, Isaiah Likely, defensive tackle, the one that we just spoke about, David Onyemata, Linderbaum,
Kyle Pitts would
Kyle
have been
Pitts.
another one.
Yep, he's on there for me.
So there's a few on this list that would make the cut to look at. You like Seattle Seahawks safety Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he began his career as a slot corner. And so that one is intriguing to me simply because he can be that versatile weapon like an Amik Robertson that you could, put him back as a safety. And if Kirby can't go, if you do keep Kirby, if it doesn't make sense financially to cut him, which I think it would if you can't play, especially a post June 1 release, the Lions will still save a massive amount of money. But if Kirby can't go and you have a guy like Kobe on your squad, then you put him back at safety. But if he can play, you put him in at slot. What's the worst that can happen? Right? If you bring in another safety and you have him and Kirby playing in the back end, and then maybe you put Brian Branch back down in the slot. I don't know if you've noticed this. I don't know if other Lions fans have noticed this either. Brian going back to safety was the move that I expected. Out of 23, heading into 24, I said exactly that. That's where he was going to go. That's where he went. It worked out great. It was the best season that we've ever seen in Detroit in the back end for two safeties ever. In 2025, if there was not an injury issue to either one of them, would it have been the same? Do you think that they still would have been the top end elite safeties that they were in 24?
Without injury, yes.
Without injury.
Yeah, you take those injuries away, I think this past year's a totally different animal, but it is what it is. I think both of them have the talent to still be the two top safeties in the league. It's just injury snapped them both.
I'm gonna take
how
a quick
rare
look
is
at
that you have two safeties that are two of the top safeties in the league, and both of them go out to season-ending injury.
That's crazy.
Both, not one, both.
That
the odds against that are pretty darn high. Name another team in the NFL that lost both starting safeties this year due to injury.
I don't know.
Not
if there
very
was
many
one.
of them, I'll tell you.
So I want to go back and look at something real quick before we get off for the day. So if we go back to week 1, okay, both Brian and Kirby.
First 3 weeks,
shit.
I think.
Hold on here. I don't know why I just had Brian Branch pulled up and then he disappeared. There we go.
And Brian Branch, week 1, would have had an interception to the house had Alex Anzalone not held on the play. They were playing really good in the beginning of the season.
So if we go back to week 1, Brian Branch had an elite first week. He was an 85.1 overall. Week 2, he was a 91.4. Kirby, on the other side, was a 67.5 and a 48.9. Now, I'm just throwing out PFF grades. I'm not going to go into high detail of breaking down the game, so on and so forth. But what I will throw in is I will throw in their coverage. So hold on here. Where is it? NFI. There it is. So Brian Branch in week 1, 79.2 passer rating against. Week 2, 126.4. Week 3, 143.8. That is not good at all. Yeah. But the funny thing is how do you have a 126.4 passer rating against and you're scored out as elite? I don't understand that. Other than if you look at just targets and receptions, they were 2 for 3 on them, 66.7% for 21 yards. So whatever. That's why these grades you need to take with a grain of salt. Kirby in week 3, 63.2. Brian Branch in week 3, 45.7. That was against Baltimore. And that game, much different stylistically for our defense. They are asked to do a lot more as you're playing contain. not exactly the style of defense that these guys excel in, but I think that they excelled in it that game, and they got shit grades for some reason. Week 4, Brian was a 64.9. Week 5, he was a 67.6. And Kirby, finally in week 4, had an above average game at 74.9, and then week 5, 70.7. But then week 6, it all fell apart. Kirby was a 32.6. He was injured. You could tell he was injured. He was not playing well that game. And when he went out, Brian Branch still continued to play week 6, 9, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And then in the end of game 14 or week 14, he literally went out like the last 2 plays of the game or whatever it was. It was that touchdown catch in the end zone. And he played well without Kirby. So I guess my question is, would it have remained the same had they both stayed healthy throughout the year? I'm not so sure. I'm really not.
But you got to remember, during those first 3 to 5 games, Kirby wasn't 100%. He wasn't 100% going into this season.
No, he really wasn't. He
I
really wasn't.
I think he played injured this entire season. Because if you remember in training camp, he had that big friggin' sleeve on his knee.
Yep.
And didn't look. He just didn't look himself out there in training camp even.
Well, there was a lot of talk, remember, back in training camp where he was not practicing.
Yeah. You remember a couple of the days we went, he wasn't even there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think barring injury, they're 2 of the top safeties in the league. They're 1 and 2 in my opinion.
Well, they were.
Yeah. And they would be without injury. But Brian snapped his Achilles and somehow Kirby broke his knee. And his cartilage is gone.
Yeah.
And that dude, I honestly don't know if he ever plays another snap in the NFL. That's my worst fear. But another fear is, let's say Kirby does play this year at 50%, at 70%. How long is he going to last? How good is he going to be when he is out there? So I'd rather have him 100% going or 0% and done. One of the two. Just I don't want it to be wishy-washy and have him for 3 games where he looks great and then 15 games where he's week to week. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to play. They can't do that game again next year. That stuff's got to stop.
Well, I guess that's where I'm on the train of you can't play, just like you said, you can't play games with them.
No,
it's either he's in or he's out, and you've got to know before you really have to know before the draft, because there's nothing that he has done since week 6 that would be any different today. He didn't play, so there shouldn't be any damage to the knee outside of what he already had. And if you couldn't get him up in 12 weeks, I mean, that has to be an extremely significant deal. If it was 12 weeks and you never put him on IR, but you couldn't get him up to play, which tells me that this injury might be, his career could be in jeopardy.
Yep.
I think you have to know before the draft, which means if the Lions go out and they draft a safety early, maybe the story is written for Kirby. If they go out in free agency and bring in a top safety, then you might see the stories written for Kirby.
Yeah, and what happens if Kirby retires due to injury? Is there an injury settlement? Is that a retirement? I don't know how any of that works and what the money would be, I would be clueless to all that. Oh God, what a horrible thing we got to go through with Kirby. I feel for the kid. Because I love Kirby Joseph, man. I loved his attitude. He's great with the fans, great on the field. Perfect kind of player that we always wanted. And for him to have this unknown injury lingering over him is just horrible.
All right, we got to roll. It's been a funny day, man. I've been dealing with some stuff in the back end here with the contractor, but
real quick before you leave, who's winning this weekend going to the Super Bowl?
oh god.
Come on. I want yours and I'll give you mine. Seahawks, Patriots.
Yeah, it has to be. It has
But
to
I
be.
want it to be Seahawks, Broncos. I want the Broncos to go. But it's going to be Seahawks, Patriots.
You know what I'm curious about? Do me a favor. Just type in Google real quick, NFL standings.
All right. I'll go to the old Google machine. NFL standings. Okay. Has Patriots number 1
Hold
in
on.
the AFC East.
All right, so behind me, I've got this magnetic board.
Yeah.
Which I haven't changed. I'll make sure my chair doesn't fall off the platform here. Which I haven't changed. You know, I should just be able to take my mic off this thing. And so I'm curious if I got any of them right. So let's start with the AFC. Where are you on? NFC or AFC?
This says the AFC East.
All right, AFC East. Who do we got?
Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, Jets.
All right, I had the Bills at first, and I had the Patriots in third. So totally blew that.
Yep.
How about the AFC North?
Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Browns.
Damn, I got 1 and 2 right. I had Browns and Bengals flip-flopped. All right,
Yeah.
how about the South?
Jaguars, Texans, Colts, Titans.
Jaguars, Texans, Colts, Titans?
Yep.
Well, I had Texans, Colts, Titans, Jags.
Ooh.
I mean, I why the Texans and Colts at the top? And honestly, the Colts and the Texans should have.
Man, the Colts were 7-1 and end up being 8-9. That's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, so the Colts should have been up there, and the Texans honestly should have won that, but the Jaguars came out of nowhere.
Yep.
I was
They
hurting my
just kept
neck. All
plugging
right,
along.
how about the AFC West?
You got the Broncos, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Raiders.
Jesus, man. I had the Chiefs at number 1, the Chargers at number 2, so I got that one right. And then the Broncos at number 4, Raiders at number 3, so I definitely whiffed on the Broncos. I don't know how I did that. All right, how about the NFC? I did this like back in at the end of last season. I think is when I made this, the end of last season.
So the NFC,
Yep.
you got the Eagles, the Cowboys, Commanders, Giants.
Eagles,
Yep.
Commanders.
Yep.
I had those two flip-flopped.
Yep.
And
the
then
Cowboys.
I had the Giants and the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
And then the North,
You got the Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions. So I'm sure you got that one wrong.
yep, I had the Packers right. How about the South?
South, you got the Panthers, Bucks, Falcons, and Saints.
Man, if you just put the Panthers on top, I had the rest right. How about the West?
You got the Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, Cardinals.
I had the Seahawks. I had the Rams on the bottom. I had the 49ers in the 2 spot. So if you would have put the Rams on top, I had the rest right. Crazy. I did that at the end of last year, and I'll do the same thing at the end of this year. I'll just make my crazy picks to see what happens for the next season. It's funny, man, watching all these worst to first teams.
Yeah. Well, you're going to see another worst to first, and it's going to be the Lions in 2026. You heard it here right now. I'm telling you.
Say that one more time.
You are going to see a worst to first with the Detroit Lions in 2026. You heard it here.
Oh, for sure. For sure we will be.
I've never been more confident about the Lions going from worst to first as I am this year. This is going to be a no-nonsense year.
Kind of a blah day today. Man,
I got one more quick little thing.
it's not the usual, but normally there's a lot more energy in the show. What'd you have now?
All right. So the AP put out their finalists for MVP, comeback player of the year, and defensive player of the year, and offensive player of the year. Well, there's one Detroit Lion that is up for 2 of these awards. Comeback player of the year is Aiden Hutchinson, Stephon Diggs, Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey, and Dak Prescott. Christian McCaffrey, he's got it once before. He's the front runner for it. And then defensive player of the year, Aiden Hutchinson's up for it, but I'll tell you what, right now, Myles Garrett got it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Will Anderson, Nick Bonito, and Micah Parsons were also in the top 5 for the running of defensive player of the year.
Say that again on defensive player of the year. Who's in the running?
So in the running is Will Anderson, Nick Bonito, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, and Micah Parsons.
Myles Garrett's got it for sure.
Oh, yeah. He broke this all-time sack record.
That's not even close.
He's going to win it. But the comeback player of the year, man, I think it's between Aiden Hutchinson and Christian McCaffrey.
And give me the other names.
The other ones are Dak Prescott, no. Stephon Diggs, no. Trevor Lawrence, no. So I think it's between Aiden and Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's going to get it because he got so many passing and rushing yards together. He almost got 2,000 yards or whatever. So it's going to be Christian. And their team had a billion injuries and they only won because of him.
Hold on a second. Where was I on this? Christian McCaffrey stats for this year.
He was crazy good.
Hold on.
But I think a bigger comeback from injury is Aiden Hutchinson.
You've got to be kidding me.
Just my opinion.
Christian McCaffrey had 102 receptions this year.
Yeah, he went nuts.
Where did I miss out on this?
Yeah, he had the season of a lifetime.
I don't know why I didn't pay attention to it. Yeah, 100 receptions for a running back is insane.
Hey, J-Rod, thanks for the $2. Just bopping in to say hello, stay warm, and stay safe.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's got it locked in.
Yeah,
It'd be Christian McCaffrey, Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it sucks because I'd win like $800 if Aiden got it. I placed a pretty sizable bet on him getting it this year. I thought for sure he was going to be comeback player of the year. Yeah, I think he got close, but he's going to be second in voting.
I don't know. There's some other names in there that are kind of interesting. Trevor, he could be a little higher than what you think. He had a good year.
He did.
He had a really good year.
Yeah.
All right, man. Back at it Monday. I don't know if I'll do any lives this weekend for any of the games because I've got a lot of homework now that I've got to start getting ready for. The end of the season is just upon us. And next week, I'll start doing some evening shows. I'm not sure the time or the day of the week, but I'll figure that out this weekend. Pay attention to the posts in the community part of the chat or in the channel. And then I've got a couple other channels that I'm launching and rebranding. And I'm going to start putting videos over there. So I'll let you know where it is. You can subscribe to those channels because they're all going to be a little bit different. Hopefully, we'll get enough activity this year to be able to make them succeed. It's going to take a lot of work, but we'll see. We'll see what it does. Appreciate all you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to join the Detroit Football Journal at DetroitFootballJournal.com, and you get a free 6 months membership. Once we're done here, I'm gonna go in and upgrade everybody right now to their 6 month membership. And we'll get back to it on Monday. Eric, have a great weekend, man. I'm sure I'll talk to you over the weekend during the games. And everybody else, man, probably go Detroit Lions. Stay safe. Stay off the roads. If you don't have to go anywhere, just don't. Just hang in and do what you do.
Stay home and enjoy the games.
There you go. All right, you guys take care. Go Detroit Lions. We'll see you guys next week.
Pressured by